Just do the 4 minutes. Have you got the timer? Yes? Can you just go ahead and... Does it say 4 minutes? It did. Okay, good. I think somebody stole some time last time. So anyway, let me just continue. We're talking about prayer and this series that we're going to do in the fall, and in fact all of next year, called Growing in Friendship with Jesus. Now, last week I talked a little bit about the analogy that Jesus, that having this prayer is having a relationship with Jesus and talking to him like you would a loved one. And I gave the example of how I stay in contact with one of my friends, Father Pat, and we get together regularly for lunch or dinner multiple times a month, and we stay in contact. We still are learning more about each other's lives, and the friendship is dynamic in that way. And I compare that to my friend back in Ireland, who I see or talk to probably once a year. And our friendship isn't dead, it just doesn't grow anymore. And I liken that to a lot of our relationship. When we stop talking or stop listening to Jesus, what we end up doing is we end up having our friendship with Jesus sort of stagnates. It doesn't grow. It doesn't mean we're no less a child of God. It just means we're no longer growing in friendship. And so the idea is that this is a communication with God, in particular in communication with Jesus. And it's meant to be two-way. I think that a lot of us have a one-way conversation where we say our prayers with God, but it needs to be two ways. If I said to you, you know, you've been married 25 years, what do you know about your wife? And you say, I know nothing. Well, some of you don't think there's anything unusual about that, but obviously, but no, that would be unusual because 25 years you would ought to know something about your spouse, and there's only one or two things. Either she's not talking, or you're not listening, or maybe it's a combination of both. I fear that in our relationship with God, we tell God a lot of stuff about us and our demands and our requests of him, but we rarely listen to what Christ has to say to us. And that's what we want to do in this series. It teaches you how to listen. Now, what I don't think you need is more information, right? So this isn't about more information. This is about more experience. Let me give you an example. If I was to tell you about a rose, I could tell you what color it is, I could tell you what the petals look like, I could dissect it, tell it has thorns, but that really isn't going to tell you, that's going to tell you about it. But if I give you a rose, and you smell it, and you see it, then you experience the rose. Our hope in this prayer series, this Growing in Friendship with Jesus, is that, yes, we'll tell you a little about prayer, but hopefully we're going to show you how to experience prayer. And so as a result, we put these into three different segments. So we want it to be applicable for everyone, and we've trialed all sorts of different ways. So this is what we've come down to. Three different segments, or three different stages, or three different series, if you would. One is what we call the planting. The other one is called the cultivation, and the other one is called bearing fruit. The planting are for those who have yet to sort of in any way get a disciplined prayer life. They pray sporadically. The cultivation is for those who have a prayer life but want to go a little bit deeper. And the bearing fruit are those who have a solid prayer life but want to really go way, way deeper and trial to it. So each of the three series, if you would, it starts out with either a half-day retreat or a full-day retreat, and finishes with a full-day retreat or maybe a weekend retreat. And in between, we have either between 3 or 6 in a series of weekday presentations, and we ask you to come to the whole component. Before retreat, 3 sessions or 6 sessions, and then the closing retreat. We ask you to come in groups, in cohorts. So we'll sign up, so whatever group you want to join, or bring some people with you. The idea is to have a cohort so that you have somebody. Okay, I'll finish here. So the cohort that accompanies you. It's a bit like having a workout partner. Some days you feel like going, it's really easy, and there's other days it's really hard to go, and so that accompanying will encourage you to go. The other one, that's sort of accountability. The other one is accompaniment. It's actually important to have people who come with you on the journey, so we learn from one another. We believe as Catholics that our relationship with Jesus is not just an individual relationship, but also a communal relationship. So we do it in community as well as individual. So next week we'll talk a little more about it, but we'll get the schedule out to you. We ask you to look at a schedule for the whole of the year and pick one set of sessions to attend and come. And then we'll repeat them again in the spring and the winter and the spring. So we encourage you to look at that. At this time, I got a couple of blessings before we go. Francois, Stephanie, and Paul Francois are leaving their parish. They're heading off to their retirement home. We're going to give them a special blessing before they leave. So we ask you to come on forward. Come on, Juliana. We'll give you all a blessing. So if you would please stand, we're going to offer them our blessing as we send them forth to their new location. So you raise both your hands together and we'll give them our blessing. Lord our God, in your loving kindness, you sent your Son to be our shepherd and guide. You continue